When it comes to luxury coupes and convertibles, Mercedes-Benz had one of the most comprehensive lineups in the industry. From the C, the E, the S, the SL, to the AMG GT Roadster, they were simply a coupe or convertible that could fit your lifestyle and, of course, your budget. Now, as the segment for this type of vehicle continues to shrink, Mercedes-Benz has been forced to kind of simplify their lineup, which is why we're out here in Malibu, California, testing out this vehicle. This is the replacement for the C and the E class, known as the 2024 CLE class. And as you can see, it has a sleek, elongated design, an available turbocharged or turbocharged 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder powertrains, and a look that just befits the Mercedes badge that you're going to find all over this vehicle. So if you guys are looking for the ultimate luxury drop-top convertible, has Mercedes managed to succeed in creating that with this all-new CLE 450? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the exterior design of the all-new CLE class, I thought I'd pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, here in America, Mercedes-Benz will offer the Cabriolet version with two different engines. The base engine will be the CLE 300, which has a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. This is the upgraded engine for now, at least until Mercedes decides to offer an AMG version in the States. It's the company's 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder engine that's obviously in-house developed. It also is augmented by a 48-volt mild hybrid system dubbed EQ Boost. It's an integrated starter motor generator. The combined output is 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. Technically, the 48-volt system adds 23 horsepower and 151 horsepower on its, or 51 pound-feet of torque on its own, but you can't technically combine the two outputs together. It all goes out through a 9-speed automatic transmission, and all CLEs come with the company's 4Matic all-wheel drive system. And the other cool thing is the fuel economy. If you guys are looking at the 4 or the 6-cylinder, they actually get the same gas mileage at 23 in the city, 32 on the highway. This has roughly a 17.4 gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 440 miles of range on a full tank. That's obviously on premium gas. The other great thing, if you guys go for the 6, the 0 to 60 time is among the quicker vehicles in the segment. Mercedes says 4.2 seconds. It should have a top speed of around 130 miles an hour. And because this one that we're showing you here is the convertible, it is around 200 pounds heavier versus the coupe. It weighs in at just under 4,500 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up this hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, when Mercedes decided to get rid of both the C and the E class coupe and convertibles, I was a little skeptical. So looking at the design of the CLE, when I look at the front end of this car, what I actually see is the CLA class. If you guys know, the CLA is their entry-level, sedan. It basically has the same front fascia. This model here has the AMG line styling package. So you have the AMG style grille with the stars and the extra Mercedes logo in the front, and of course on the hood you have the standard high-performance LED headlights. You can also get a digital light signature LED headlight, and then you can see some of the lower air intakes are blacked out. Some of them are also functional, some of them are fake. But overall, I kind of wish that Mercedes gave this car more of an E-Class look to the front fascia. But let me know what you guys think of the styling. It is still relatively an attractive car, but when I look at this vehicle, I think more that it's like a CLA class coupe or cabriolet. Now, moving around the side profile, this is where your eyes may play some tricks on you, because this car, Mercedes says, is the longest vehicle in its class at 191 inches long. It's actually around an inch longer than the old E-Class cabriolet, and it's around 4 inches longer than the C-Class. It has the same wheelbase as the new C-Class at 112.8 inches. And you can see here, the profile is just very nice. This one here has the black convertible soft top. They're all soft tops. And if you guys want to put the top down, you can actually do so from the key fob itself. So I have the key fob here. If I push and hold the unlock button, you can see the top will start to go down. It takes around 20 seconds for the top to go up or down, and Mercedes says you can actually do it at speeds up to 37 miles an hour. You can see it's a very clever feat of engineering as the top goes down. And when the top does go down, this car just looks so much better, especially in this color combination, this white exterior with that red Napa leather interior. It certainly just looks like an elegant car that I think is going to, draw your eye to this vehicle, especially when you start to see the entire side profile. It just has that elongated look. Now, looking at the wheels, these are an optional 19-inch wheel that you get that's part of a standalone option. It's riding on a 245 by 35 it's a 20-inch wheel. You can see it's got kind of like the aerodynamic covers over it to help with fuel or aerodynamics, of course, and improve the fuel economy. You have actually some large cross-drilled rotors there with a 4-piston brake caliper with the Mercedes brand's logo on it. It's a pretty nice looking wheel setup. But again, Mercedes, I think they said they offered like 5 different wheel combinations. You'll have an adaptive suspension on the CLE 450. It's an all-independent suspension. You also get active rear wheel steering. So that kind of helps shrink the car's overall dimensions when, you guys are, doing some U-turns and whatnot. Now, there are a couple of other cool features that this car has. There's also also like a little air cap feature, which will raise this up here. It'll raise up a little screen back here to help with the turbulence when you guys are driving with the top down. And then looking at the rear of the car, you can see I don't really like the rear end of this vehicle. In fact, some of the taillight proportioning, a friend of mine, actually Jared, who's behind the camera, actually said that this car, if you cover up the Mercedes badge, kind of looks like a Toyota Solara or a reincarnation of that. After he told me that, I just can't unsee it. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the look. There's a lot of badging back here. I kind of wish that the light bar here actually went in continuous with the actual LED taillights. There's a exhaust system back here, which you can see is kind of integrated into the bumper. The CLE 450 gets kind of the AMG Sportline design package, of course. And then looking at the cargo area here, you can see the Cabriolet is going to sacrifice some trunk space. So Mercedes says this model here has around 9.6 cubic feet of trunk space. Now, when you have the top up, you can actually push a little button here and that'll raise this shelf up to give you a little bit more space and a larger opening. The top's down right now, so we're obviously not going to be able to do that. But just keep in mind the coupe version will have roughly 2 more cubic feet of space. So if you want more cargo space, make sure you go for the coupe. So obviously Mercedes did a pretty good job with the exterior design of this CLE Cabriolet, but what about the interior? Before we step inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current intelligent access key fob from Mercedes-Benz. It's a really nice size key that also has a nice weight to it. There's usual buttons here for lock, unlock. You can also pop open the trunk and access the panic function. And then if you push and hold the lock button, it'll actually put the top up, or if you do the unlock button, as you guys saw earlier, it'll also put the top down. But as you can see, coming up to the vehicle, it has a traditional door handle here. So I really appreciate the fact that it doesn't have one of those electronic pop-out door handles. If I touch that little area here, that locks the door. It also will fold in the mirrors. And if you touch the back of the door handle, that unlocks the door for you. Now, this particular test car that I'm showing you has the Moonlight White exterior for $1,700. Plus, it also has the upgraded red Napa leather interior for an extra $1,600. I really love this color combination. In fact, this would have been perfect if Mercedes had spec'd out the red soft top as well. But again, this to me is just the perfection in terms of spec. Now, looking at the seats, you can see the seats are kind of unique to the CLE class. They have the air scarf function, which is going to be standard. This is the little neck warmer that blows warm air on your neck if you have the roof down on a cold day. The seats also adjust in like 16 different ways. They're heated and ventilated, and they're also massaging. Now, I should point out that those features are optional. I think they're a la carte options for like $900 and $700. Kind of worth it, especially if you guys plan to drive with the roof down a lot. Mercedes also says the leather material in this car is treated with something special that actually helps it reflect the sunlight and keeps the temperature of the seats around up to 53 degrees Fahrenheit cooler versus if they were untreated. So that's very important if you plan to leave this vehicle parked with the top down all the time. You can see the doors are very elongated because it's a two-door. You have beautiful leather stitching around the upper portion of the door with the contrast stitching. You have nice red leather here. You have some piano black and aluminum accented trim. The window controls have a nice high quality feel. They're one touch up down for all four. This area down here is a hard touch plastic. And then my particular test car also has the upgraded 17-speaker Burmester stereo system, which sounds pretty good. If you guys are an audiophile, you may want to consider going for that trim. Now, stepping inside the vehicle, you can see it's got that typical low step-in height that you associate with a vehicle like this. As I shut the door, the door has a pretty nice solid sounding thunk. You can see it also has a little arm there that hands your seatbelt over to you, which helps you kind of get settled into the vehicle. Now, starting the car up, you can see there's a start stop button here. If I push that button, because this vehicle is a mild hybrid, it doesn't have a traditional starter noise. So the engine, as you can see, just kind of whirs to life. And you have that traditional startup chime. In terms of the dash materials, you can see it has beautiful leather stitching on the upper portion here. The pinnacle trim also gets that head-up display. You have some aluminum textured trim here on the dashboard that kind of comes down into the center console. And if you guys are familiar with the C-Class, this interior is practically identical, and that's where I kind of wish Mercedes had made this interior look more like the E-Class. The E-Class has a bigger screen, the availability of the super screen, but this car still has some great tech. So the instrument panel here has a 12.3-inch display, which is fully digital. You can also customize the way the gauges look if you want. You can go to a sport display, and then you can see in the center here you have an 11.9-inch touchscreen, which has their MBUX infotainment software. It's the latest generation, the third generation, I believe. One cool feature with the Cabriolet that's unique to the Cabriolet is if I push this little button here, you can see the screen has the ability to tilt from 15 degrees, which is the standard setup, up to 40 degrees. So this, in this configuration, it really helps to keep the glare from making the screen unusable or unreadable. You can see looking behind the screen, there's not really any kind of storage back here, but I think this is a really nice feature to have that is kind of a cool party trick if you guys, you know, want to show this vehicle off to your friends. I like the steering wheel as well. It's got the flat bottom design. This is included with the AMG line styling package. It has lots of touch sensitive buttons, which I love, and I also don't love at times. You have paddles on the wheel, of course. The steering wheel has a power tilt and telescoping function, which is nice. And then you can see in the center stack here, you have some actual touch capacitive buttons. This is your drive mode selector here. There's 4 different modes, from an eco, comfort, sport, and an individual mode. You can also access the full 360 camera, which, as you can see, the graphics are also really nice. This is some of the best in the industry. This full 360 camera is included when you guys go for the Pinnacle trim, which I believe is like an extra $2,000 or $3,000, which could be worth it if you guys really, you know, like that extra technology feature. There's also a fingerprint scanner over here, and then if you open this up, you can see going into the comfort, this is where you can access the massage function, which my favorite is the activating massage. You can also turn up the intensity. It's a really nice feature. Highly recommend spending that extra $950 to get the actual massage feature in this car. Now there's a couple of other buttons here. If I push this button up, you can see that raises up the air cap, and then it also opens up a little screen back there that basically helps with the turbulence inside the cabin when you're driving at higher speeds. Mercedes says they spent a lot of time in the wind tunnel ensuring that the actual air turbulence is at a minimum so you can have nice conversations in this vehicle. And if you want, you can also close the windows. Obviously, this is going to give you the best top-down experience at high speeds. It really makes a difference. We'll talk about that later on during the driving scene. You can see I like the aluminum look trim over here. You have a nice padded center console. Open that up, you can see you have 2 USB-Cs along with 2 more back here, along with a wireless phone charging pad. The seats are pretty comfortable and supportive, especially if you guys go for the upgraded Nappa leather. They just have a nice supple feel to them. The massage function works well, and you also have a manually adjustable head restraint there. So again, everything that you expect from the C-Class is pretty much present here. In terms of the material quality, it's nice. The fit and finish, I do think, could be a little bit better. I noticed that at times there were a couple of creaks from the interior if you press down on that. I've noticed that a lot in some newer Mercedes products, but overall, visually, this definitely makes a great first impression. Now, let me show you guys the back seat really quick, because Mercedes says that they made this car bigger. It's more like an E-Class, so the back seats are usable for adults. There's a nice little strap here that I can pull that basically allows the seat to kind of push forward. And then you can see the back seats back here are essentially 2 jump seats that allow for 2 people to sit back here. Now, they didn't provide the legroom figures just yet, but I'll go ahead and get back here and show you guys what the space is like. You can see, for somebody my height at 5'7", I actually can sit back here. It's not bad. This is pretty much where I'd have the seat to drive. I have some good foot space here, decent amount of legroom. There's also nice leather stitching over here and here where you'd rest your elbows, nice metal speakers for the Burmester sound system. There's also some LED ambient light strips, it looks like back here, so it'll look even better at night. You have rear seat air vents. You have a little or 2 USB-C charging ports here. You have cup holders, a little bit of storage. What this car what this car doesn't have, however, is like an armrest that folds down, which could be a nice feature to have. But overall, I am genuinely surprised. This definitely has more backseat space than the old C-Class convertible, and this definitely feels more like an E-Class in terms of the rear seat space. So here we are in a brand new drop top Mercedes, and as you can see, I'm joined by Jared from CarBuzz. If you guys want to see some really good TikToks, some short style videos, be sure to check out his channel at CarBuzz. Jared, that's his car.
Carbuzz.com, technically on TikTok.
Okay. Well, yes, he does amazing TikTok videos, but we are in the CLE 450. So remember, this car combines essentially the E-Class and the C-Class Cabriolet into essentially one vehicle, which I'm not entirely sure was the right decision, but with this segment kind of shrinking a lot, I'm not really surprised. But I want to test out the 0 to 60 quick. Now, this car, Jared, does not have launch control.
No launch control, but we do have the inline 6. This is the 450. Yep. You can also get a 300 4-cylinder.
Yes, so we have 375 horsepower, and that's a pretty good amount of power. Standard 4Matic all-wheel drive, but
9-speed automatic.
9-speed auto. Let's go ahead and just brake torque it. Ooh. Ooh, that sounds nice. 5.3 seconds now. We are going up a 5% hill, so we'll see if we can find a more like flat road to see if it's a little bit quicker. Mercedes claims this model should do it in 4.2 seconds, which honestly is pretty bloody fast. I don't think you really need it to be any faster. Sadly, if you guys are looking for a CLE in an actual convertible form, you can't get it in the cab. It's only in the coupe, if I remember correctly, right?
The 53 version.
Yeah, the CLE 53 basically adds a supercharger, electric supercharger, to this twin or turbocharged inline 6. and it pumps the power up to like 443. But the one cool thing, Jared, that I love about this car is the fact that Mercedes was very upfront in the fact that they wanted this to be more of a luxury cruiser.
Yeah, it feels more E-Class than C-Class to me, at least in terms of the ride. If you're looking for a sporty canyon carver, this definitely isn't it. It's compliant, it works pretty well on these canyon roads, but this is a comfy cruiser.
Yeah, even in sport mode, we're on these like 19 or 20-inch wheels, whatnot. It has a really nice ride quality. And we actually just hopped out of the C63 SE Performance.
Which is brutal.
It was kind of brutal, especially when you had it in the Sport Plus or race mode. Now, thankfully, that car allowed you to have adjustable dampers. This car, I don't know if it has adjustable dampers.
I think only the 450 has adjustable dampers. The 300 doesn't. And the 450 also gets you rear wheel steering, which is very noticeable on this car.
Yeah, I mean, this car is or Mercedes says it's the biggest convertible in its class. Now, biggest, I'd probably say it's only biggest by a couple inches, but
there's not a very big class.
No,
it's this in the 4 Series,
this
right?
and the A5,
and the A5,
and those two are, well, I guess the 4 Series
dead.
Yeah, that is right.
They have a new A5 now.
Yeah, that is true. So that's kind of sad. But so basically, the 4 Series is the main competitor in this space. But I have to say, this car, you know, size-wise, they say it's more of like an E-Class. I feel like I'm driving a C-Class.
Well, because you have a C-Class dashboard.
Yeah,
you're looking through it.
Right. The dash just is pure C-Class. So I kind of wish that they would have given this the interior from the E-Class,
right,
with the bigger screens and, you know, the different dash design. But this is still a really nice interior. Visibility also is really good. You can see out of the front, the side, obviously the rear with the top down. It's fantastic. Now, we do also have the air cap up right now. And
air cap is pretty nice.
Yeah, like, so it actually lifts up that little screen at the back. It also increases the height of this little, I guess, cowl spoiler to kind of help with the aerodynamics. Mercedes says they spent a lot of time in the aerodynamics to make it so you could have a gentle conversation at highway speeds in this car, and I kind of see that.
Yeah, I think you can for sure, especially with the windows up. It's definitely not too bad, and with the roof up, it's very quiet in here.
Yeah, so I found a slightly more flat road. Let's see.
Oh, that felt quick.
It sounds really good too. I love this sound of this straight six.
Real raspy engine.
4.97 seconds there. That's with it more going a little downhill. So okay, it's not what Mercedes' claim, but you know, I would maybe say, oh, we are at like 2,000 feet above sea level here.
Who knows how they launched it to get to that number too, because when you don't have launch control on these cars, I've found it very difficult to get it. I could see it's like it doesn't want to let you rev at first. Eventually you can kind of power through it.
Right.
But I think if you really wanted to torture test it like a magazine does, maybe you'd get that number.
Right. And again, the point of this car is not necessarily for 0 to 60 times, but I think you know, if you guys go for the inline six, you're going to be treated or rewarded with that snarl, that straight six snarl, which is kind of funny, Jared, because we just again hopped out of the C63.
It's your 4-cylinder.
This sounds better.
Right.
Like, this sounds better because it doesn't have any of that fake noise stuff. It just has that smooth, sonorous inline six, although I do wish that it revved higher.
Yeah, the engineer did tell us that they try to pump in some like crackles and pops and stuff like that when you're in the sport mode.
Yeah.
I don't really hear it, if I'm being honest.
Like, let's try here with the, okay, I'm in second there. Won't let me go to first, but
I don't hear it. Maybe it's just because we have the roof down. I don't know.
No, but it does
sound good.
It's nice to just rev this engine out. It is smooth. It's got very linear power. It doesn't even, I don't even feel any turbo lag really. It's got that 48 volt mild hybrid system, so the start stop is relatively smooth in this car. And I also love Mercedes' EQ technology because the AC doesn't shut off when the engine shuts off.
That is nice.
I really appreciate that. Every other luxury brand that I've tested, the AC will shut off, which is super annoying, especially if you're spending this kind of money for a luxury car. But really what I love about this thing, Jared, is it just feels so comfortable.
Right, it's very comfy.
Comfy, easy to drive. It's like you can just drive this thing lethargically, or you can also just push it and it still feels pretty decent, honestly.
Now the big question is, you know, they have the SL, which is way more expensive than this car. You can get the SL with a V8, but they also have a 4-cylinder SL. And Sophie and I were just thinking, why would you get the 4-cylinder SL when for less money you can get this? We're enjoying our massage seats. I think the back seat on this is bigger than it is on the SL. The trunk's definitely bigger.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's not as good looking as the SL.
Yeah, the SL is definitely sexier. It's
definitely sexier.
Like, that car is a sexy car that makes a statement. This also makes a statement, but it's also kind of more of like a regular looking car.
I said if you took the Mercedes badges off of this could be the new Toyota Solara, and I don't care if Mercedes hears me say that. It's really hard to make a two-door convertible not jaw-droppingly gorgeous, and this just looks fine. It's not bad. It's just fine.
No, I mean, I think the car, you know, the front really reminds me of a CLA.
CLA, yeah.
Which I don't know if, I think they should have made it look more like an E-Class or a C-Class with the headlight design. The rear, I don't love the rear. I think the rear, I can't unsee the Solara hues, the Toyota Solara hues.
And the taillight, you know, the kind of like owl mask, like, you know, raccoon mask thing, it's the same as it is on the GLC coupe, which is like really weird. Like, I get it, your coupes all have to be the same, but like, make your two-door actual coupe sexier than your SUV. Or at least try. Like, I don't know, it's a little weird to me.
Yeah, so now as we go around this little sharper corner, I can definitely feel the suspension is soft in this car.
It's moving around a bit.
The steering also doesn't give you much in terms of feedback. So yes, this is not a driver's car.
The 4 Series is the more driver's car of the two.
And that makes me wonder, like, would I rather have the 4 Series? Because I definitely prefer, you know, a driver's car in that sense. I also really like BMW's inline 6. The 4 Series also, I believe, is a little bit cheaper than this car.
Yeah.
But you also can't get the massaging seats. And BMW is also really finicky about adding ventilated seats on the 4 Series. Like, you can only get it with like a black interior when we're sitting here in this gorgeous red leather interior with the air cap. It also has the, if you guys drive this thing with the top down and it's cold, it has the air scarf, which although I think BMW offers it as well. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the fact that, Jared, we are driving a brand new topless convertible.
Because there just are so few of those now. Now the question is, the 4 Series is obviously the better driver's car, so if you're going to get the 6-cylinder, the M440i is more of a sports car. But do you just save, because it's about $9,000 less to get the CLE 300, only 255 horsepower, so a lot less than this inline 6.
Right.
But if it's just going to be a cruiser for you, maybe that's just fine for you.
Yeah, I mean, $9,000 is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
But this engine is fantastic.
It is really nice.
And it only gets like 1 or 2 mpg
No,
worse.
it's the same.
It's the same
Exact fuel economy. You get 0 penalty for the inline 6.
If you have the money, I'd say go for the 6.
If you have the money, go for the 6.
All right. So in today's SUV crazy world, it's always really refreshing whenever I get a chance to review a brand new coupe or convertible. And after spending the day driving the brand new 2024 CLE 450 Cabriolet, I have to say, driving this car around reminds me so much why I like top-down motoring, especially if you guys live in an area like California, for example, here in Malibu. When it's not raining, this is just a really nice vehicle to drive and cruise in. I really appreciate the fact that Mercedes offers a choice of the 4-cylinder and the 6-cylinder. My money would personally go for the 6 just for that sonorous sound and the improved acceleration. You don't have to, sacrifice anything in terms of fuel efficiency. The looks of this car are always subjective. From this angle that I'm showing you here, I don't really like the way this car looks, but from the front, again, it reminds me a lot of like a drop-top version of the CLA, which is technically not a bad thing, but looks are always subjective, so let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the styling. The ride quality of this vehicle is among the best in the industry. I also love the seat comfort with the massaging seats. That's something you can't get in the BMW competitor. And of course, Audi just discontinued the A5 and S5 here in the US for now. The interior has the latest MBUX technology. I am sad that they didn't give this the interior dashboard from the E-Class, but the C-Class is definitely not a bad place to start. The rear seats are also somewhat usable if you guys want to put stuff back there or your small children. But overall, what's interesting about the CLE class is when you start to look at the pricing, because this car is already now on sale at your local Mercedes dealership, and the base price for the CLE 300 4Matic, the coupe version, starts at $56,500. That's literally in between the $47,000 price tag of the C-Class and the $62,000 price tag of the E-Class sedan. So obviously Mercedes got the pricing right if they're going to slap this car in between those two models. Now, if you guys want the convertible will cost you around $8,000 more. That's a pretty high price tag. And if you guys want to go for the 6-cylinder, that's going to cost you around $9,500 more. So this model that I'm showing you here starts at around $73,850. So that's actually a little bit less expensive than the old E450 Cabriolet, which was around $5,000 more. If you guys were looking at the C-Class Cabriolet from 2023, this car is around $5,000 more expensive versus that vehicle. So again, I think they got the pricing right, especially when you consider the size of this vehicle with the additional space, the additional technology, and the features. This particular car that I'm showing you here has roughly around $10,000 worth of options. So as tested, this car comes in at around $85,120. $85,000 is definitely a lot of money, but if you guys are looking within the Mercedes family, this is significantly significantly cheaper than a Mercedes-AMG SL43, which technically has a 4-cylinder engine. This car also comes with more practicality, but it also has a lot less sex appeal. And if that's something you really want, you're gonna obviously go and buy that SL. But if you're also comparing this to like a 4 Series, the 4 Series for me is definitely the more sportier option. But if you guys want more of the luxury features with a little bit more space, you should definitely put this new CLE 450 at the top of your list. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2024 Mercedes-Benz CLE 450. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.